Now, it's an ideal rainy day for collecting worms. Charles Darwin was an expert on earthworms, and he was one of the first to show us how much we're indebted to these beautiful little animals who plough the land for us without charging us for it. But Charles Darwin is better known for his work known as The Origin of Species, which he published in 1859 and which precipitated a huge revolution in biology and produced the evolutionary theory of man and the animals and plants. So we're going to take a trip now to England, to Down in South England, to have a look at some of Darwin's work and his house there.
I Kent i England ligger den rolige landsbyen Down. Om ikke en berømt mann hadde bodd her, ville neppe noen av oss ha hørt om den, og landsbyen kunne hvile i fred, omgitt av sine grønne enger og gamle trær. Men her er huset til Charles Darwin. I dag et museum tilegnet ham og hans verk. I dette rommet skrev han det som brakte menneskene en ny verdensanskuelse, en tro på framskrittet, på en utvikling fra primitive til stadig høyere utviklingstrinn, inntil kanskje det fullkomne. En tro som av og til minner om en ny religion. Den kalles evolusjonslæren.
I have here a first edition copy of Charles Darwin's The Origin of Species, published in 1859. The book caused an enormous stir in all parts of the world when it came out. Now, who was Charles Darwin? Charles Darwin was an English gentleman. He was brought up and studied for about 2 years medicine in Edinburgh, and then he went to Cambridge and studied for holy orders and graduated MA there. Now, what does his book say, and why did it cause the huge stir that it did cause? Well, Darwin sets out to prove that life, plants and animals, undergoes small variations which are coupled or caused by the environment, and that these small changes in human biology and in animal and plant biology are inherited. That is, to put it crudely, if a giraffe stretches its neck and stretches its neck to reach the topmost leaves of a tree, then in the course of generations, if all the generations stretch their neck to reach the tops of the tree, then the neck of the giraffe will get longer and longer and longer until we have a giraffe. If I might put it a little bit more near home, if the blacksmith uses his biceps muscles to hit his hot iron in the smithy, in the course of time he will get large biceps. Darwin thought that those changes are inheritable. Now, therefore, wherever you have life, you will get life fitting into the environment, and that fitting into the environment will cause life to develop upwards right up to man. Now, when Darwin was a young man, he didn't go into holy orders. He was offered the job of naturalist on this ship. We have now a nice little model there of the Beagle, on which he went round the world in 5 years to do his job as a naturalist. And there he found lots of evidence on which he thought he could base his theories.
I desember 1831 forlater Beagle havnen i Plymouth. Etter en reise langs kysten av Brasil og andre deler av Sør-Amerika når båten Galapagosøyene. Underveis studerer Darwin landskapets geologi. Hver dag blir alt nøye nedskrevet i denne dagboken. På Galapagos oppdager han noe interessant. Han finner forskjellige finkefugler som utvilsomt en gang har tilhørt samme art. Men på disse øyene hadde de tydeligvis utviklet seg til forskjellige arter. Disse små, men tydelige variasjonene innenfor et dyreslag satte han på nye og spennende tanker. Vel hjemme i England fortsatte han å skrive. Dersom det var mulig for en enkelt finkeart å utvikle tydelige ulikheter, hvorfor kunne så ikke denne utviklingen gå videre?
Now, he extended that idea not only to remain within a species or within a kind such as the finches represent, but he thought that you could go into what the French are happy to call transformism, that is, that one species could change over into another higher species, so that in the end you could go from an amoeba to a man by this basis, on this basis of small variations which are inheritable and passed on, so that you get evolution gradually over very many years, large numbers of years, from the simplest forms of life up to the highest form of life, which we human beings claim ourselves to be. Now, if you listen to the broadcasts on these things and read the books on this subject, you will find that people maintain that on the basis of Darwin's ideas, as represented today by Neo-Darwinism, wherever life arrives, wherever energy and matter is, that energy and matter will form life, and that matter, once it's formed life, will evolve itself up automatically to the highest forms of conscious life, and that will have to happen on the basis of Darwin's theories.
Når Darwin dør i 1882 og blir begravet i Westminster Abbey, har hans evolusjonslære spredd seg over hele verden. Et annet sted i Europa, i Brno, i det som i dag er Tsjekkoslovakia, finner vi en annen mann med interesse for biologi. Siden 1856 har en munk i et augustinerkloster utført noen merkelige eksperimenter. Hans navn er Gregor Mendel.
Gregory Mendel, although he was a monk, was the first man to set the science of heredity on a sound mathematical basis. As is well known, he worked on garden peas, the dwarfs and the various colors, and showed that the distribution of the strains, the variations in the strains, corresponded to perfectly well-defined mathematical laws. If his work had not been forgotten for practically 50 years until the turn of the century, it was published, of course, in an obscure scientific journal, and nobody noticed it. If his work on the mathematics of heredity had been known, it would have saved an enormous amount of speculation which occurred later on the origin of species.
I Mendels tid lå klosteret i det daværende Østerrike, og Brno het Brünn. Her, i en liten hage, er det at munken vår dyrker ertene sine. Ni år senere, i 1865, forteller Mendel stolt om sin store oppdagelse. På grunnlag av sine forsøk med ertene er han nå helt sikker på at han kan forutsi matematisk hvordan slike egenskaper går i arv gjennom generasjonene. Arvelige egenskaper forsvinner ikke, selv ikke i krysninger mellom ulike varianter. De vil dukke opp igjen og igjen, og det er mulig å forutsi både når og hvordan. Dette gjør lite inntrykk i vitenskapelige kretser. Mendel dør i 1884 uten særlig anerkjennelse. Hva går egentlig Mendels arvelover ut på? Ta en rød og en gul blomst. De blir forelsket, gifter seg og får barn. Fire vakre røde blomster. Disse fire får også barn. 3 røde blomster. Men se, en gul blomst. Helt røde foreldre og et gult barn. Hvordan er dette mulig? La oss se på genene for å finne løsningen. Hver av besteforeldrene har 2 gener for samme farge. Barna arver et gen fra hver av foreldrene, slik at hver får et rødt og et gult gen. Men fordi rødt er dominant, får alle rød farge. Historien gjentar seg. Også disse får barn, som arver et gen fra hver av foreldrene. Dermed får vi helt røde genpar, blandede par og helt gule par. Og en helt gul blomst. Blomstene viser oss skjønnhet. De utroligste farger og former kan få oss til å føle en dyp beundring for den skapende kraft og intelligens hos ham som i skapelsens morgen bestemte at det skulle være slik. Da sa Gud, jorden skal av grønne vekster gro fram, planter som setter frø og trær som bærer alle slags frukt med frø i på jorden. Og det ble slik. Jorden bar fram grønne vekster, planter som setter frø, og trær som bærer frukt med frø i, hvert etter sitt slag. Og Gud så at det var godt. Hva menes med uttrykket sitt slag?
In life we meet with various kinds or species. So we shall turn to this question of what a species is, which can be quite difficult. The experts call a species an interbreeding pool of genes. What they mean by this is that each kind or species has a blueprint for its basic type. There is the dog kind, which has a particular type of blueprint. There's the coyote belongs to that, there's the wolf, there's the St. Bernard, there's the Pekingese, there's the Dachshund, and all the various kinds of dogs that you get. Now, they're different from one another, but they will breed with one another, and therefore they belong to the same kind or interbreeding pool of genes. If the physical differences are not too big, you can get a St. Bernard to breed with a Pekingese. Now, the cat kind is similar. It has a basic form of DNA blueprint, which is so similar that the various types of cat will, under circumstances, breed with one another, because the DNA molecules, or fits, do fit to one another. Now, if that's the case, you have then a species. As you see, it's a rather difficult term to define. The important point to remember is this, that it's exceedingly difficult to get one kind to breed with another. You can't get cats to breed with dogs because the DNA molecules don't have the basic fit to one another to enable breeding to take place.
Men fra tid til annen hender det noe med DNA-molekylene og kromosomene. Det finner sted en forandring som vi kaller en mutasjon. I 1886 oppdager nederlenderen Hugo de Vries noe rart mens han samler ville blomster. Han kjenner godt den vanlige nattlys, men her finner han ukjente typer som tilhører samme slekt. Han tar dem hjem og dyrker dem videre og får helt nye typer. Han offentliggjør resultatene i 1901 og 1903 under titelen «Mutasjonsteori». På samme tid ble man oppmerksom på Gregor Mendels resultater, og disse lot til å slå bena vekk under Darwins evolusjonsteori. Mutasjoner ble nå neodarwinismens nye magiske ord, som kunne bygge bro over det store skillet mellom de ulike artene. Hvordan oppstår mutasjoner? En måte er ved stråling. Her brukes røntgenstråler til å lage nye typer afrikanske fioler. Disse mutasjonene forekommer ikke bare hos planter, men også hos dyr på grunn av stråling eller av andre årsaker. Slik kan vi for eksempel utvikle nye og bedre typer korn eller kveg. Hva blir egentlig resultatet av en mutasjon, selv når det ser så pent ut som disse fiolene? Blir arten særlig forbedret av mutasjonen? Svaret er nei. La oss ta et eksempel. Bananflua. Den nederlandske genebiologen Dr. Wilhelm Ovenil forklarer.
Now, what do all these mutants mean? The important question for evolutionists has always been whether it could be shown whether mutations play any role in the supposed evolution. Because the only two mechanisms that are supposedly known for the alleged evolution are mutations and, secondly, natural selection, a process in nature by which these mutations are selected. And favored mutations are heaped up so that we gradually get all kinds of different animals. Now, what is true of this by the solid facts of genetics? Now, the first fact is that we can maintain these nice mutations in the laboratory quite well because we protect them. We are very nice to them and we look after them. But these poor animals would easily die in nature because all these mutations damage them. They are very damaging, harmful to their viability, and often they are simply directly lethal. So mutations are harmful. They are very interesting to us. They are very useful to us because by these mutations we can study a lot of the genetic laws in animals, but they are very unuseful and very harmful to the animals.
Mutasjoner i naturen skader og svekker arten. Våre dagers atomvåpen og atomkraftverk gjør oss forståelig nok redde for stråling og resulterende mutasjoner. Men kan naturlig utvalg bidra til å bygge en ny og sterkere art ved å utnytte de små fordelaktige mutasjonene som forekommer?
Now, what does natural selection really do? Let's take some examples. Say you have an organism which undergoes a certain number of mutations, and 95% of these mutations are negative. That is, they're a hindrance to the organism. Natural selection will certainly cut out those organisms in the course of time which are less suited to their environment. If a man gets diabetes by losing some information in his genes, even by mutation, then he will be less able to compete with other people who are healthy. And the same applies right throughout the animal kingdom. So it certainly does prevent the strain or the species or the kind from deteriorating. It destabilizes from going downhill. Now, let's look at the other side. Say you do get an organism which has a mutation 1%, 2% above the average, so that it has an advantage. Now, if an organism has some sort of an advantage, say it starts to develop an eye, say a worm starts to develop an eye. That is, an earthworm doesn't have an eye, of course, it just has a black spot. But if that worm starts to develop, say, a retina and all these sorts of things, then that half-finished new organism, which is coming out from a positive mutation, will be, until it's perfect, a hindrance. So natural selection and mutation, what they will do together is prevent the drift downwards of a species, but they will certainly never take care that a species starts to drift upwards, because the natural selection will take care that better earthworms, say, are produced, but not earthworms that are half other animals, say half snakes or half amphibians or anything like that, because they would have a disadvantage according to Darwin's own theory.
Darwin mente at naturlig utvalg, kampen for tilværelsen og det at de best skikkede overlever, vil forårsake en langsom, men sikker utvikling fra en art til en annen. Fra død materie til primitive livsformer, fra primitive til mer kompliserte livsformer, fra alger til svamper, mark og maneter, så til fisk, amfibier, og videre til krypdyr, fugler, insekter, pattedyr, primater og til slutt menneske. På dette punktet tok Darwin helt feil. Naturlig utvalg forhindrer at dette skjer.
The whole theory is dependent upon the idea that you won't get by chance a complete new organ produced at once, a macromutation, but you will get small changes. Now those small changes up to something better will be a disadvantage to the species until they are complete. And as they never are complete, your natural selection prevents the drift upwards just as effectively as it prevents the drift downwards. And that being the case, we can account for the fact that species, humans, animals and plants, have remained constant through all these years by this feedback mechanism which Darwin rightly produced. What he didn't say is that it would prevent a drift, a slow drift upwards, just as effectively as it will prevent a slow drift downwards.
Ved slutten av sitt liv var Darwin fremdeles full av tvil og frustrasjon over sine egne teorier, og han funderte fremdeles på livets store spørsmål. Slik døde han, for til slutt å møte sin skaper. Gud sa, i vannet skal det myldre av liv, og fugler skal fly over jorden under himmelhvelvingen. Og Gud skapte de store sjødyrene og alt liv som det yrer og kryr av i vannet, hvert etter sitt slag, og alle dyr som har vinger til å fly med, hvert etter sitt slag. Og Gud så at det var godt. Han velsignet dem og sa, dere skal være fruktbare og formere dere og fylle vannet i havet, og fuglene skal formere seg på jorden. Og det ble kveld, og det ble morgen, 5. dag. Og Gud sa, jorden skal la alle slags levende skapninger gå fram, fe, kryp og ville dyr, hvert etter sitt slag. Og det ble slik. Gud skapte alle slags ville dyr, og alle slags fe, og krypet på marken av alle slag. Og Gud så at det var godt.
Now, when the Bible says that God made the animals and man and the plants after their kind, to breed after their kind, we've come up against an absolutely basic scientific truth, which is today just as true as when Moses wrote it down. So God did make the interbreeding pools of genes constant. You can vary within them, but you can't go outside the frontiers of that pool of interbreeding genes. You can vary within it, but not without it. Just like a piece of music from Mozart, by point mutations, point changes, can't be changed into a Bach fugue or can't be changed into a sonata of Mozart. They remain constant. And this is just what the Bible says about the species and kinds which God made. The laws which we found out stabilized them within their own frontiers perfectly rigidly.